Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Blast Off with Light. And between episodes, in the comment section, I got a request from, I believe his name was Rico Suave, to do a bit of science. So I did, and we'll be showing off the results of that later on in this episode. But first, we've got a little more to do with this assembly line here. So what we're going to do, grab ourselves, well, actually we're going to need to make a PCB. So I did a little harvesting of some redstone to make these transistors and capacitors, so that we can take our PCB and go 3 and 3. So we've got ourselves a good PCB. Then we take these to make ourselves a drill. So these there. The PCB in the middle, 3 of those, and a diamond. To get ourselves the assembly drill, which I think I'll put right here. Now, the drill isn't particularly useful without the drill program. Now, these are the last of my emeralds. I believe I only get them from smashing the meteors. I'm not sure if they're in the spires. I don't recall. It's been a while since I've gone out. So yeah, last of the emeralds. Pretty soon I'm going to need to either start smashing the meteors or melting down some villagers. But unfortunately I don't have any villagers. So the melting is fairly unlikely at this point. But we should be able to take this diamond and these 8 final emeralds and make the drill program. Yes, yes, abuse it while we can. So we take out our laser program and put in our drill program. And then we'll grab some things from this chest and drill them up, and we'll see how that goes later on. This has a good amount of pressure. We'll just let this run. Now, over here, we've got our advanced air compressor, which I was talking about in the previous episode. It'll do a lot more pressure, which will be good for powering our drones and our pneumatic wrench and whatnot. But as Rico Suave mentioned in the comments, it has a tendency to overheat. Right now it's 240 degrees, which means the efficiency of its burning coal is down to 38%. That is absurd. That's just terrible. And that's not even getting to where the normal compressor could go. Well, barely getting to where that normal compressor could go. That's just terrible. That's no good. So if we look in the tooltip, it says you can heat things up using these various things. Or, to cool it down, you remove the heat by placing down ice. Now that's the tooltip, put in there by Mind Martin himself. And that little hint right there is absolutely worthless. Well, not absolutely. There are certain conditions under which it's useless, and those are the vast majority of circumstances that exist in this world. You can put ice on all sides of this thing, and it's still going to heat up super fast. Might cool down a little faster, but it'll still heat up like crazy. Now, well, then what do? Well, you treat it like a real machine. You need something to wick the heat away from it. Which it seems I forgot to grab, because I need all the various things in there. Yeah, I'll go back to the Blaze Farm sometime soon and restock my iron. But first, we will drop these 2 in there, because we need compressed iron. If you're going to wick heat away from a device, metal is a pretty good conductor of heat. Let's check over here. That should be fine. So we got those 2. They should be compressed already. Good. So if you want to wick the heat away, you just put some metal around it. And, you see that? That's awesome. The blocks themselves react to the temperature of the device and change color, so you know they're really flippin' hot. But as you can see, the temperature hasn't gone down all that much. They pull some heat away, but not nearly enough. So, Well, we keep on trucking. We make some things that are also like the real world. Oh, I even melted down a golden apple to be able to do this episode. Oh, man. And we make some heat sinks. If you looked inside your computer, you'd see several of these in there. And basically what they do, you see that you've got the metal stripes with air in between. Well, that allows airflow and maximal surface area. It helps to wick the heat away better because it's the surface area that does the work. It's not necessarily how cold something is, how well it conducts the heat. Well, those do factor in. But the surface area does the real heavy lifting. No, that is not at all how I want you. And there we are. Now, the more sides of the thing you put the heat sinks on, the better it'll work. If you have it just coming out of one side, it'll take more to get the heat away than it will if you send it out in all directions. So that's why I've got it on 3 sides here. And then on each of those blocks, as many sides as I could. And after a bit of science, let's throw some more in there. I found that with this amount of compressed iron and heat sinks, you should be able to run this thing continuously, and it should only get up to 49 degrees Celsius. So if we watch it here for just a little bit longer, come on now. It should get to 49 and then stop. Now, this is not the exact configuration I had in my tests, but it should be comparable. And there we are. Oh, it went up to 50. Let's hope it doesn't get up to 51. Because the orientation that I had in my testing was actually a compressed iron block on top, on bottom, with the heat sinks around it, and then a heat sink on the side. So the only difference would be this heat sink and this heat sink being on the bottom instead of on the side. And then you rotate it 9 degrees that way, because I had a hopper on the side feeding in the charcoal. Now, the difference between 50 and 49, there is no difference. So long as you're at 50 or below, you're fine. Okay, so that is working. I'm going to take the charcoal out because we don't want this thing to explode. Speaking of which, I should be able to fix that. Security upgrade. Oh, I'll do that later. But that's how to make a advanced air compressor that doesn't overheat. Heat sinks. And it looks kind of cool too. A little spiky. But then the drone will be able to come over to this thing, charge itself back up, be ready to go. Yeah, that setup works for the advanced air compressor that I have there that burns fuel to do its job. It also works for the advanced liquid compressor that uses lava and any other fuels. It also works for the flux-based one. Oh, I shut down my portal because I haven't tossed anything through it in a long, long time, and it's used up pools of mana. And I don't care what Vasky says in the book. There's no way that with how much I throw through it, it's worth leaving it on. Because it doesn't drain a whole pool turning it on. Now, if you throw things through a lot, or if Botany is the only thing you're using, it might be worth it to leave it open. But with how much I use it, it was thoroughly wasteful leaving it open the whole time. So this guy's good to go. That's a bit of science. Hope it helped you out. Yeah, the redstone flux version, also this setup works for it. It is possible to make this without the heat sinks. You can use compressed iron and ice, but you would need to use 16 compressed iron in, actually, the design of the enchanting thing. If you use the compressed iron in that shape, and then cover all of the exposed faces of it with either ice or packed ice, it would also cool it to the right degree. It would cool it down to proper efficiency while running continuously. That can work as well. But to get the ice there, you either need to let it freeze in the world, which is really annoying, or have Silk Touch. If you've got Silk Touch, you can afford these heat sinks. These are, to me, cheaper than the ice options. And snow, which is easier to get here, doesn't cool it as well. I'm not sure why the snow is 10 degrees Celsius, but for some reason it seems to be. The packed ice and the regular ice are 0 degrees Celsius. They help to cool things down. The air, I believe, is 22. Like, if you just place one of those compressed iron blocks in the world, it goes to 22. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like the stuff in our box is either done or we're out of pressure. They're probably done. And here we are. We processed a couple of blocks of metal to get these various interesting things. So, processed reinforced component, processed osmium component, brass, and alumite. Now those alone get us nothing. We also need these guys. You've seen me make... keep making noises. So you've seen me make the magical wood. You've seen me make the ender-infused obsidian. Now we put it together. I believe it goes this way. Oh, there goes the guy's hat. He's going to start burning now. Ender core. Now these I had never really seen used outside of recipes, but apparently, yeah, they boost nearby enchanting tables by 20 levels, which is slightly more than the mana pylons. Possibly. I don't know. I'm not sure if these do 15 each and to get you to 30, or they just overpower the whole thing and just shove you up to 30, right? So it might be 20 and 20 for all I know. So yeah, now we've got the ender core and those 4 things. And then we just chuck that into our pressure chamber with 4. Do we have 4? We barely have 4. Let's put that in such that when we lose our pressure, it doesn't cause too much trouble. And now we sit here and watch it chuck things into the pressure chamber. While that's working, I'll show you what else I did in here. These 3, the compressed cobble, the double compressed clay, and coal, make these raw hardeners, which you hammer to make the hardeners for the mesh, which you need for the stabilized metal. I did a lot of this all at once because I have tons of this hardened clay now because of my work on the spruce forest. I keep clearing out the hardened clay, particularly on stream. I do aesthetic stuff when I'm streaming. Ooh, we've got a green glob. So yeah, I tend to do aesthetic things while streaming. So we've got more road over there. Road over there. Green glob. Yeah, so during my streams I tend to do that. I tend not to do anything too technical because I like doing that in these videos. I like having, like, those heatsink things saved for posterity. Okay, so we've got ourselves a drained Galgadorian clump. Well, we're going to have to reinfuse it somehow, and we do that with blood. And, well, how we get that? You chuck living things into the smeltery. I bred up some pigs and tossed some of them in, but they don't give you a whole lot. So I ended up... oh, they're regrown already. So I ended up waiting until nighttime, and I lured some zombies over and knocked them in. That worked out pretty well. And then I made another vat. I mean, we've got vat central over here. And then we should be able to just go book. And it'll suck up half a bucket worth of blood and be something awesome. Over here, how we doing on sand? We still got a little left, little left. And we've got quite a few pearls. Not a whole lot in the way of red ones, but we'll see how it goes. So these are mostly used for neoprene and neon lamps. The various mariculture machines. But we can also make these blocks, which you can also turn into bricks. And they're fairly pretty, rather neon. We've got a red block. An fused Galgadorian block. And then what do we do with this? Okay, so we can thoroughly enhance it and make it purple. We don't need that right now. Or we can send it through a laser program and turn it into what we actually want. Now, unfortunately, that means we're going to have to swap these out every now and then to do what we need to do. Or we can make 2 different assembly lines. I mean, it's not that expensive to make 2 of these, and we can link them up to the same system, get them both to the same pressure. We can make a giant pressure chamber to store up a lot of pressure, or make the pressure upgrade, or volume upgrades. Adding volume upgrades to pretty much anything in the system will make it such that it takes longer to get to the pressure, but also longer to leave that pressure. It's sometimes hard to describe how the volume upgrades work and why you would like them, but essentially that's the idea. It takes longer to charge, but it also takes longer to discharge. And that was pretty quick, laser guy. I mean, faster than I've come to expect from this assembly line. It doesn't necessarily speed things up, but it does make things easier. Because if I had a lot of those, I could just dump in the chest, and eventually I'll come back and they'll be done. Next time, maybe, we'll work on some drone things, because drones are really fun. But we need PCBs to make that work. And I've got enough for 1 more. And I've got, like, the 10 blank ones over here, but I don't have the capacitors and transistors just yet. I'm a little short on redstone, a little short on iron. I'll likely stop by the blaze farm to replenish my iron. Maybe go to the conjuration station for the redstone, but I might just harvest it off of these pillars. Are we good? We're good! Now this is pretty much only used to get this Galgadorian metal, which is used in a lot of things. The reason I need it is for these capacitors. Because these capacitors are what you need for the advanced PCBs, so even more of that. And that's what we need for the quest. In, click in here. In pressurization. To do this quest here, to open the other things, we need to make 4 of these guys. And they're relatively expensive. But with this, that's 9 of these. And each of those makes, was it 2 of the capacitors? Yeah, each one makes 2, so that's 18 capacitors. But I believe I need 4 for each of these. But you only need 16. You only need 16 of these capacitors to make 4 of those. So I should have enough Galgadorian metal to make that happen now. I don't have enough redstone. By far. So redstone is the next big thing. Brass I can do. But yeah, these PCBs, they take plastic, which is easy. Yeah, the plastic, that's easy. The compressed iron, which is not bad, but the redstone, I don't have a reliable supplier just yet. So I will work on getting myself some redstone, and that'll get me the various electronics, and then I can progress in these quests, and then get some drones happening. So here we are in our nice little... there's no good view of this guy. So here we have our cooling setup for our advanced air compressor, and I will see you in the next episode of Blast Off with Light.